What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Hey, I want to testify about a guy who's pretty special to me. A guy that I'm thankful God put in my life. And it's my older brother, Andy BR. Andy changed his name to Andy. Started going by Andy. Freshman year of his high school career, aka fall 2006. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's correct. He used to be Andrew. Okay, so my upbringing, I had a brother named Andrew, and in my adulthood, I've had a great friend named Andy. But I want to share a couple things that encourage me about him, or I guess like ways that God's used him in my life. So he is my older brother. He's 2 years older than me and change, 2 grades above me. And then after me, there's a 7-year gap before Karina, and then another 2 years before Braden. And so we kind of had 2 separate childhoods in a lot of ways. There were 2 different houses my family lived in. One that was basically the vast majority of Andy and my childhood, and then another one for Karina and Braden. So, and just different life stages in terms of our parents and their careers and stuff. Just a lot of differences about our childhoods. And so Andy's like my brother, my millennial brother. You know, we're the millennials. And then my little sibs are Gen Z. Kind of crazy, kind of cool. But Andy, it turns out, is incredibly competitive and quite the achiever. And I didn't really know that. I mean, you don't know anything growing up. But I'm thankful for the things we got to do together in terms of like playing video games together and playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards together and like playing chess together and playing computer games. Andy grew up a total gamer, and I was like just Mr. like along for the ride guy. I wasn't really excellent at anything, but I was more sporty in general, but I wasn't like super good at sports. But Andy kind of gravitated. I mean, he played sports and stuff, but in elementary, middle school, you know, he gravitated towards video games as like love number one. He's also a really talented cellist, an incredibly good student. Not that he had to spend a lot of time studying, because he's just a wizard. But so we got to play a lot together, but there was also a lot of separation because he was so competitive, he wouldn't necessarily want to play something if there was a really good chance he was going to lose. So like, he wasn't going to play Madden with me. That video game just did not come as naturally to him. Although Mike Vick to Judge Mathis, I mean, he had that play for sure. But like, he really wasn't about that Madden 2002. And he wasn't ready for Dante Culpepper to Randy Moss, you know. Anyways. And so there's enough separateness that, you know, as an older brother, he wasn't interested in like running my life. He wasn't overbearing. I mean, older brothers always kind of run the show. But like, we had enough different interests that it gave me space to be myself and not feel like I'm always competing with him. Because he like found the things that he wanted to compete at, excel at, and then he just took them and ran with them. And then I never even challenged him in those areas. You know, like, he just had them. But then I have my own lanes, my own spaces. And so I'm just thankful for that. Not that Andy chose that. It's just like kind of sovereign, and that's what we're wired for. It's whatever, our interests. But I'm just thankful. And then when Andy went to high school, he blossomed. He bloomed. He bloomed like a blossoming bud. And really just join the football team. He's kind of like, you know what? I don't know really what all went into his process. I should just ask Andy about that. But he started going hard on weightlifting, which just increased his confidence a lot. For those 2 years, there was a little bit of, well, I was going to say there was a little bit of strife, but the reality is most of my first 14 years of life, there was a decent amount of strife. And that's really one thing that I'm super thankful for, is that Andy put up with me, because I was such a menace of a little brother, guys. I was just like, I think just desperate for attention. I just always wanted to be playing with someone, and just, just like, Elvia, mi mamá número dos, the lady that lived with us, she couldn't speak English, which made it hard for us to play together. She also couldn't teach me Spanish, because she wasn't like formally educated ever. And so spelling and grammar and stuff wasn't her strong suit. Andy and I had some different interests, so he wasn't always trying to play, especially if he might lose at whatever we're playing at. My parents were working so much. And so I just like took pleasure in making Andy mad. I mean, that's just my only pastime. It's like, let me just get a reaction. Literally, guys, Andy at one point, actually, there's a couple things. One thing he did is he made a comic book. It's kind of series on like paint on the computer, and it was just a couple pages long, but the gist of it is he kills me and throws me in a trash can. I'm pretty sure that's what happens in the comic book. And he prints them all out. And yeah, what an inspiring book. I'm pretty sure he also asked my parents if they would be willing to put him up for adoption so that he does not have to live with me. Like, guys, I was such an antagonistic figure in Andy's life. Not that I was threatening to him, because I was the little brother, but I was just sure as heck annoying. And so I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, man. Also, I'm thankful that Mom and Dad did not put you up for adoption. Didn't expect me to get that heartfelt, huh? But then in high school, so anyways, I'm a menace, and then kind of middle schoolish, we're kind of doing our own things. But I'm thankful, even in my menace years, that he like still put up with me. Like, he actually did still play with me a good amount, even though he couldn't stand me at the same time. Because when you only got one brother, like, what choices do you have in life, And he went to high school, he started having choices. And that's when he kind of left me in the dust. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean he started excelling more, kind of coming into his own more, growing in more confidence, getting stronger. He started doing, academics, of course, were increasing in impressiveness in high school. He, just his social life is picking up. Like, there's just more people in high school too. So, and like, he still had his like nerdy gamer interest, but it also wasn't as nerdy, because like gaming just progressed, and more people were into it at that point in life. In 2010 versus 2000, and it also just wasn't his only thing, which it never really was. But he started doing theater, which he did theater in middle school too, but just had more confidence in it and took more joy in it. Started dating, which is not something that he really did too much of in middle school. Not that anyone really does anyways. And so he's shining. I'm in middle school. So then he's kind of like, look, I don't need you, bro. He's living his own life. And then I get to high school, and this is really what I'm most thankful for. Maybe not most, but what I'm very thankful for is just his presence in my high school just helped me so much. Because the reality is, when I went into high school, I was 100% prepubescent. I was below 5 feet. I was below 100 pounds. I was this 4'10", 4'11", 95, 98 pound dude that looked like he was 11. And I might have been 11, except I wasn't. But I could have been. I mean, just like tough to go into a high school with that being your situation. But Andy at this point was pretty yoked and pretty impressive. You know, he's a competitive, he's a high achiever, knows a lot of people in a lot of different circles. And so, like, my first day at high school was like a good day. Like, and thankfully, socially within my freshman class, I was fine, you know, but like it helped to have a junior or a senior come up to me and be like, Mini BR, what? You know, and pick me up and be excited to see me and know that I'm Andy's little brother. I remember like the first week, this guy named George was like, are you like a beast like your brother? I'm like, well, no, not really. Are you like a genius like your brother? I'm like, well, no. He's just kind of like, oh, okay. It's like, man, look, he's got too big of a shadow. I walk on the other side of him so I don't have to walk in that shadow, you know? Let the shadow cast this way and I'll be over here. But anyways, so Andy, like, once I got to high school, it's like, I feel like his mindset shifted and he really, just like took me under his wing and helped me out and started viewing me a little bit more like a peer, which was a new aspect of our relationship that we didn't really have before. And then my spring of freshman year of high school, I decided to join the football team, which also just increased our camaraderie in having that shared experience. But like, I would not have joined the football team if it weren't for Andy. Not just seeing him do it, but like, I would not only would I have not joined football, I would have never stepped into a gym. Like, I would not have gone to work out, to lift weights, were it not for his presence. Because he was Mr. Big, and again, I was so small. I've talked about this a little bit earlier this year, but like my max on bench was 50 pounds. My max on squat was 150 pounds. Like, I was very pequeño, okay? And I was just not going to go into a gym, especially in high school, just like the insecurities, I guess, of peer pressure and whatever. Like, you're just not going to go into a gym looking like that. And I think if you go through your formative years of high school and you've still never gone into a gym, there's no way I'm going to the rec at A&M, you know? And if you go through all of college and you never go into a gym, like, are you really going to start working out with weights at age 22? Maybe you would, but I wouldn't. Like, I would have just stuck to running. Like, soccer, running. I would have been stuck with this skinny, tiny, small bod, which I'm already tiny and small, so you can't be super duper skinny, okay? You gotta have some shoulders, all right? You gotta hit him with some traps every now and then. And so I'm just super thankful for his, like he really looked out for me. Not that anyone messed with me, but like, I felt like protected. I felt like they knew not to mess with me, and that's just something I'm super thankful for Andy's presence for. And then also just like the things he accomplished, and I just feel like he took his role as an older brother really seriously in terms of being a good role model, like, you know, achieving, like I said, just like challenging yourself, stretching yourself, living a principled life. There's just a lot about him that's admirable that he's probably not thinking, I'm an older brother, so I gotta do this. But it's just kind of in who he is, and I feel like he took that as a real real responsibility, a real thing, and that's just such a gift. Like, he didn't have to do that, you know. And Andy and I both grew up We didn't know this at the time, but turns out both of us were not really loving our childhoods. You know, both of us like had some frustrations, which probably most kids do, but it seemed like for us they were fairly strong frustrations, with different aspects of how we were raised and whatever. And so to see him navigate through it and come out the other side of it being super humane, super productive, really impressive, really grounded, it's just awesome. It's cool to see. It's fun to be his fan. It's fun to be inspired by him, and ultimately, like, I can never really know how much pressure it took off of me to have an older brother that set that type of bar, especially because I wasn't competing with him. Like, I wasn't trying to out Andy, and so it's almost like, great, he can kind of make the name, and so now I can just live my life. Like, he can achieve something, so now I don't have to achieve something. I didn't feel this need to outdo him. I was like, yeah, Andy's smart. You know, like, if you're looking for the genius, you can talk to him, or you can talk to my little sister. You know, I'm just gonna get A's and B's, and I'm okay if there's kind of a blend in there. You know, or, oh, you want someone that's super strong? Yep, that's Andy. Like, I'm just gonna kind of go to the gym and work out. You know, like, and that applied to just so many different areas where I just felt content. I felt safe. I felt like I had space to be myself without pressure to make a name for my parents or live up to my last name. Or it's almost like Andy took care of some of the baseline things. And my parents too, like, they put a lot of pressure to succeed on their 4 kids. And probably really well-meaning, you know, just like, it wasn't like they were living vicariously through us. I wouldn't say it like that, but definitely it was clear it was important to them for us to be successful. Probably because they want us to live a good life and they don't want us to be bums and, you know, all these different things. And it's values that they've lived out of, hey, get a good job that pays you more, and you probably will, like, experience more enjoyment in this life, you know. So, like, they're pushing us for good reasons, but we felt that pressure for sure. And Andy, like, took the weight of that pressure even more than I did, being the oldest sibling, being the first son, and being an Enneagram 3, a high achiever, competitive person. Like, that, he took that with more weight than I did, even though I also internalized it a good amount. Andy doing what he did, it almost like gave me permission to live a freer life. I'm not saying Andy's not living a free life, but I just mean, if I had tried to do what Andy did, it would have been slavery for me. And so I'm just thankful for his precedent, his role model, his example, and it's just a great older brother to have. So I just feel like not every older brother is like that, you know? So if you got an older brother, tell him thanks. There's probably some type of pressure they took on, some type of responsibility they wore that you never even really knew about or thought about, that actually opened up doors for you that wouldn't have been there without him. So say thanks to your older brother today. That's all I got for y'all today. Happy late birthday, Andy. Don't worry, y'all. I reached out to him on his birthday, but figured I'd give him a little birthday shout out a couple days after the fact. 31 years old, the pioneer, the trailblazer, the firstborn of the millennial generation. Way to go, dude. You're an awesome oldest sibling. Keep crushing it. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon. Life is worship. God is love.